Chris Handy for the first time in 15 internationals, as we see Troy Coker, the unlucky man of the Wallaby squad, who was selected, but a hamstring strain has forced him out of the side. Willie Opperhen Galway comes in. There's our referee, Colin Hawke, who is one of New Zealand's 2 World Cup arbitrators, the other being David Bishop, and Colin Hawke from Timaru. But our man on the touchline for this international, Andy Raymond.
Yeah, thanks very much, Gordon. A great atmosphere down here at ground level, now only seconds away from kick-off. It's not too hot down here. Temperature, I guess, is about 18 degrees. There's a swirling breeze that won't really favour any side. Unfortunately, there is a hint of rain. Curator Simon Dobson has prepared a lush ground cover, though it is very, very heavy underfoot. I've just spoken to Bob Dwyer. He's very, very confident.
Thanks very much, Andy. Yes, and Chris, I was about to say, for the first time in 15 internationals, no Tony Daly in that front row.
Yeah, that's a disappointment to me, but the selectors declared it was picked on form, so that's the way that it is. Yes, Gordon, it's a great disappointment, just having some technical difficulties at that stage, but Tony Daly missed, but picked on form, the side.
So Janez went for the ball, so too did John Eales, who knocked on, and so we'll see the first scrum of the game, and it will be an Argentine feed. And our first chance, Chris, to have a look at this massive tight 5 for the Pumas.
Three front rows making up that front 3 for Argentina. They'll take a little while to settle in. Just getting a nice steady ball.
Australia wheeling away and just trying to disrupt the smoothness and fluency of the Argentine scrum. Eales and McCall. Rod McCall, of course, one of the heroes of the World Cup final against England at Twickenham on November 2, 1991. And Arbizu with his first touch of the ball, and we'll see his wonderful kicking artistry at fly half this afternoon. He really can place the ball virtually wherever he wants in a match, and there Noriega, a very tough tight head prop.
Interesting to see Australia's line-out options. Troy Coker out of the side, and Tim Gavin going to play a much more significant role in the line-outs.
Eales went very high towards the back. Herbert and Wilson mauled well his line-out. Looking for Smith. Smith running strongly. Oh, a bustling run from Damian Smith. Big long strider who's been a powerhouse finisher for Queensland this year. So Australia driving straight through the middle of the Argentine maul. And because they weren't able to get the ball back there, it's use it or lose it. Once it came to a stop, it will be Argentina's scrum feed.
Well, Australia try getting their game rolling. They hit up in the centres, they set it and work the ball back the other way, and already to see them bringing Smith into the action.
Australia wheel the opposite way this time, and again disrupting Argentina at the back and also forcing an error.
Well, the way to do it is to wheel that Argentine scrum, thus throwing the back row off and not allowing the options that they may have at the back of a well-held scrum. Australia, very good platform.
Lynhagh chipping across here for Campese, who sprints hard. And the ball landing just inside the touchline, metres from the 22. Dan Crowley, his first run on test since Wales back in 1992.
good, thank you.
Interesting to see Ewan McKenzie at the front of the line-out. Good option as well. A good tall front rower, Ewan. They're very good at the front of the line-out. In Yanes, Argentines will use him.
Yes, Janes jumping there at the front at number 2, and at number 4 is Sporleda. They were the 2 locks against the Wallabies in the World Cup. And a bit of a balk there with the throw by Mendes, the hooker. So a free kick here for Australia. Here's Crowley. The Argentinians a bit slow to recover here. Australia wanting to up the tempo. Regan goes in. Line up. Little. Good defence there from Garcia. This is Pini at fullback.
All a bit rushed there for Australia, moving. It's not getting the solid platform that they needed, hustling the ball away from the maul, shoveling it along the back line. Good pressure early from Argentina.
So the Argentine scrum going down there. And there's Pichot, the scrum half for Argentina, his first international cap here today. And a good shove from Argentina. Australia slightly on the back pedal. The scrum disrupted. And offside play, though, by scrum half Pichot.
Well, they're penalised for not keeping that push square, just arching up and becoming what the referee considers dangerous. He gave the penalty. And there he is explaining to the referee, and I think Bob Dwyer and Bob Templeton sitting there be pleased to see the referee taking a key role early in the scrums to get it sorted out.
And Michael Foley in the foreground there, another grand performer in the Super 10 series. He was included in the Super 10 team last year, the Super team, for his outstanding form, and he's carried it on in 1995. So Michael Lynhagh directly out in front. He struck it pretty well, and welcome back to Ballymore, Noddy, after his stint with Benetton Treviso in Italy. First points for the Australians.
And Phil Kearns quite rightly giving Michael some encouragement for that great kick. 5 minutes they've spent in Argentina's half, and now have 3 points on the ball. This is the pattern Australia would like to keep.
More points than any other player in Test history, Michael Lynhagh, up to 824 now. Eales. Very wholesome two-handed catch there by the Australian lock. Now McCall. Driving straight ahead. Back for Campese. Big kick, he wants the bounce. And they've just kept it in play. Very cleverly there.
Whether it's through the boot of Campese or Michael Lynhagh, they're very keen to keep this ball deep in their opposition's half.
Lynhagh on his left foot. It was a quick line out by the Australians. Smith herring after it. Fullback Messon a little slow. But the ball going over the goal line, so back to the 22 for a restart. But Australia looking to play it at pace.
Great lateral vision, Michael Lynhagh, seeing a huge hole on the far side of the field. Simply gave Damian Smith some work, who was caught a bit unawares but closed quickly on Messon.
So Alessandro Abizu, who made his debut against Ireland in 1990 as a replacement centre when the great Hugo Porter was forced off at Lansdowne Road. And the referee that day was one Colin Hawke, who was in charge here this afternoon. Members there of the Argentine squad.
Quite rightly, the referee saying the push came on before the ball came in. You must maintain the spot where the referee indicates the scrum is formed until the ball comes and is put into the scrum. Argentina do like to get plenty of pressure on early, but unfortunately their impetuosity has given Michael Lynhagh another opportunity.
So referee Hawke, very strong on these line-out or scrum penalties. Back shortly.
Knee straight. The scrums are good, Sebastian. Must keep them up, okay? No hitting, which is good. Go back. No charge, boys. Yeah, hold.
And Michael Lynhagh has struck it beautifully once more. Two penalty goals to Michael Lynhagh, and Australia away to a 6-point lead. So that's just the start the Australians wanted. The Argentine scrum just a little bit shaken by their indifferent start. Tehran couldn't hold on as he was pressured by Gregan.
Here, boys. Here we are.
Quick thinking by George Gregan again, got the ball quickly on his own and was able to get it high. And the good part about that is he was right up there to pressure the receiver, which forced the error.
Lynhagh now, quick hand, says Little. This is Smith out wide. Pini nicely to Little. Here's Campese. Messon in front. The Australians with terrific support play. Kim Gavin was there. Well, there's a knock on by Argentina. Referee plays advantage. Herbert. Campese out there again. Messon across in cover. Here comes Pini.
Great play by the Australian backs. Firstly one way and immediately back the other way. Very clear, no mistakes, looking for support play and getting it from their forwards, which is good. Campese 1 minute goose stepping on the far side of the field and then immediately returning here to kick ahead for his fullback.
So Phil Kearns has received a fax from his personal cheer squad, the Gong Beaters, in Baz's bomb shelter in Chad. They've been with him all the way since his test debut at Eden Park in 1989 against the All Blacks. Eales straight through. He's there. John Eales has scored his second test try, and Australia into double figures in as many minutes.
Well, what a time to do it for the big man Eales. And his favourite part of the field, over the goal line in front of 4X Hill. Sensational bit of play. Comes juggernauting through the middle, stumbles, regains his feet and drives through again.
So John Eales with that great aerial ability and very big frame, 115 kilos. And a robust charge there, and the Pumas had no answer. So Michael Lynhagh is about 8 metres in from this broadcast touch and looking to maintain his 100% record. Michael Lynhagh holds the Australian test point scoring record of 24. He's achieved that twice at this ground against France and USA. He's right on target today. Successful conversion. Australia 13-0. So the Argentinians a bit shell-shocked at the moment, Chris.
Well, good, and they haven't been able to get any flow. No possession to deal with. Any that they've had in the scrum, they've been pressured.
This is Lynhagh. And a nice kick from inside his 22, taking play over the halfway line.
This was the pattern that they set down before the game. Play it in your opposition's half, and immediately from the kick-off, be it through Lynhagh, Campese or Gregan, they've been able to get that ball up. And hence then, that forces the Argentinians to kick back to touch, and Australia can use their line-out. They're very strong.
Referee Colin Hawke, assisted by Alan Riley on this side from Waikato, or on the far side, and Glenn Wallstrom. So again, the Pumas having trouble gaining possession. Australia controlling the ball here and causing all sorts of problems. Willie Ho and McCall leading the charge. It was Campese in front of the kicker. But the referee, first of all, pings the Argentinians for deliberately collapsing that ball.
Well, it's pretty fair refereeing. The referee has come back to that when our attention was drawn by that ordinary kick by George Cregan. But he was right. Australia had dominance in that maul situation. They weren't trying to tackle. It was still a maul, and it got pulled down. The only way that Argentina had to stop it was to collapse it, and unfortunately that's
So it's all happening pretty quickly here for the Australians. A 13-0 advantage, and Lynhagh looking for his third penalty goal after just 14 minutes of play. This to give him a personal tally of 11 in Australia's 16. And it's like clockwork at the moment for the Wallaby captain.
And that scoreboard keeps pace with the clock. Australia more than keeping pace at that stage. Australia in Argentina's half for 10 minutes as the quick restart comes.
David Campese from inside his 22.
And quite clearly there the Schweppes logo on the jerseys of the Australians, the first time they've been out in their new sponsors' jerseys.
Well, we saw Sporleda getting very high there in the middle of the lineouts. And the Australians there joining them all from in front of the last beat. And Argentina finally gets a penalty. Abizu is going to look for the touchline. And taking play inside the 22. Again, Sporleda going very high. So he's won a couple of lineouts in succession, and now the Pumas get their chance to show how to do it.
Yeah, forward. Yeah. Here we are. Hold on. Come in quietly. Blue.
George Cregan feeding. It's 15 metres out. Campese on his left foot. Got a lot of height on that one. Doesn't get his touch. It came from good pressure. And the bounce going against the Argentinians. Here's Lynhagh. And that's a fine kick over Tehran's head, taking play to within 12 metres of the halfway line. So 16 points in as many minutes by the Australians, and possession tells it all. Domination. John Eales and Lynhagh. Little straight over the advantage line. Wilson couldn't hold on. This is Mendez. Very hard man to stop. Pichot away from Eales. Abizu. McKenzie wrapped him up. So did Willie off for Galway. Argentina have done well though to keep the ball in play. Martin went without it. Knock on as Sporleda was off and running, the big fellow, the 24-year-old.
And an injury there to George Cregan, which would cause the team some concern. The good passage for Argentina.
So as George Cregan receives attention from the Australian trainer Greg Craig, it's 16-0 here at Ballymore. Yes, well, he seemed to get quite a heavy knock there, and we remember that he was injured last time here at Ballymore when Australia met Italy. And George Cregan is up and okay. We're on the 10-metre line, Australian territory, and a huge shove there from the Argentine 8.
Listen, I said I want the head and shoulder above the hip. Don't get it.
I'm sure that Phil Kearns is taking a fair bit of that pressure slanting across the scrum.
He's liner now. And Campese, second line. Pini and Smith. Smith over the 10-metre line. That's the halfway. Fine tackle by Martin. That's Daniel Herbert. Again, good support from the Australians.
Good play in the backs. Argentina's backline a man on man, and Australia trying to work into the square. Just have a look. Out wide, they outflank the Argentinians, and Smith it is strong on the wing, able to shed one tackle, but picked up there, and then the support comes. Firstly, Wilson, the open side flanker, quick to the ball, and then Dan Herbert.
Yes, David Wilson, classic open side flanker in international rugby, playing his 23rd test in a row here this afternoon as Gregan feeds 35 metres out from the Pumas goal line. Good Australian back line. Back it goes to Pini now. He spots a gap and runs well. Rod McCall, first man there.
Come back here.
Referee playing advantage. Offside against the Pumas.
Well, every opportunity Australia are trying to bring their bigger men in the back line through gaps in the middle to absorb a bit of that defence and create a few gaps out wide by linking quickly with their back row and trying to spread that ball. Already Australia, through Michael Lynhagh, have 11 5/8 possessions, and not often is he kicking. It's being spread wide. Give these outside backs a good chance to handle the ball.
Well, we saw Michael Foley warming up there, Chris, and perhaps there is a problem there with the captain of last year, Phil Kearns, who hasn't been able to do a lot of training because of a cyst just underneath his Achilles tendon. But Michael Lynhagh looks as though he has the record books in his sights here this afternoon. He's been averaging 16 points for Benetton since Christmas. And he's done it again. Monotonous regularity for the Australian captain. That is his 4th penalty goal. He's also kicked a conversion, and his personal tally 14 points in Australia's 19. Abizou. Back to Campese. Pini with a good pass to Little, and Herbert and Smith. Quick hands does it. Campese links, finds Herbert. And the Australians very keen to spread the ball wide and move these big Argentinian forwards around.
And it's good to see the confidence that they have in knowing that somebody will come and support them. They're taking the tackle and being able to hand it on as somebody loops or straightens back inside them for support.
Unusual throwing style here of Federico Mendes, Chris, just one arm.
It is, and usually you use that front arm to guide.
Yeah, come on, hey, I said, okay, but not this.
Okay, that was definitely lifting there. The referee says you can support with your palms at the top of the jump, but not lift him up on the way, and Jarnes had the aerial assist. Liner again. This is a good Gary Owen for Santiago Messon. But he won't be happy with the kick after a very fine take running backwards.
Very flat backline defensive line from Argentina forced Michael Lynhagh to kick that time.
So 26 points, the biggest winning margin for Australia over Argentina.
I've just spoken to Greg Craig, the Australian physio, and 2 at a time the guys will be warming up in the tunnel. There's nothing wrong with Phil Kearns, and George Gregan was injured earlier, just a slight knock, but he's a-okay.
Well, that ball not thrown straight into the line out. Yes, I was just going to say Australia's biggest winning margin in a test match occurred last year at the stadium. It was 70 points in the 73-3 victory over Western Samoa. Abizou. Le Petit Porter, they call him, because he's the man who had to step into those famous shoes of Hugo Porta whose career spanned 19 years at Test level. Campo's been there nearly as long, Chris.
He has great career. It's hopefully with a World Cup win, if they'd to play in the final, he's agonisingly close to 100 Test matches for Australia.
Lynhagh easily over the advantage line. Ball came off an Argentinian. Gregan now working for Campese. Messon again in good position. He gets the mark. He must have at least 1 foot on the ground. So the Australians probing, getting in behind the Puma forwards. And the big guys aren't enjoying it in this heat here at Ballymore.
There was a time when all your own players had to be back behind you before you could restart with the free kick, but to keep the pace of the game up, they've allowed from free kicks for you to restart immediately with some of your players still in front of you.
Philip Kearns to throw this ball in. Today his 43rd international, so he becomes Australia's most capped hooker, passing former Australian captain Peter Johnson. This is Tim Gavin.
Isn't that a great sight? Tim Gavin coming around from around the front of the line out, running off a ball push from John Eales. They must get it free to win the put in.
Well, Gavin was able to stay on his feet. He went to ground to try and force the ruck, but the ball held up off the ground, so a collapsed maul scrum feed for Argentina. The Pumas just haven't been in the contest so far. And Abizu. A nice spiral torpedo kick. A very good clearance, taking play to within 8 metres of the halfway line.
And that scrum again, the only stable base from which they're winning good ball to gain ground. And that becomes increasingly more effective on their game as the half goes on.
WDK 34.
Argentina's line-out ball coming from Sporleda in the middle. Willio got a hand to that one. But the Argentinians get low and drive, closing on the halfway line. Abizu. Salvat hasn't touched the ball so far, nor has Garcia, the outside centre. But the pinpoint accuracy of Abizu, 35 metres out from Australia's goal line.
This is clearly Australia's territory. Fly half kicks and fly half passes. Australia and Argentina clear to see there.
Here's Lynhagh. Little was cut out. Great pass there to Smith and Campese. He wants support. It comes from Lynhagh. Gregan outside. This is Wilson, halfway line. Little, Lynhagh. Well, solid defence there by Argentina. Santa Marina was there, so was Pichot, the halfback, to force the error. But again, some dazzling passing and support from the Wallabies.
Really looking to use the ball, Australia. Each opportunity. Good position here. Watch the ball. Firstly inside. Lynhagh trying to pick up the support play. Wilson hitting and then helped by Little. And then he goes to the outside. Reaching in behind, though, he loses that ball.
Campese going up the touchline here. Messon running up towards halfway. It's an angling kick. Gregan put his foot on the line. So Santiago Messon, the 27-year-old doctor from San Isidro, who made his debut against the US in 1990, has taken Argentina to within 7 metres of the goal line.
Quite clearly the foot on the line, George Gregan, and any part of the ball or your body that touches the line whilst you're in possession, it is out. Number 2 in the line out,
Jarnes. And he got it. Well, he took 14 two-handed takes against England. Australia regrouping here. Argentina 5 metres out from the goal line.
Ball's down, right? Can't pick it up. Penalty.
So once the ball is down there into a ruck situation, in other words, players are over the top around the ball, it's a ruck, you can't pick it up. says the referee. And another unfortunate penalty conceded by the Pumas.
Good group skill there in the Australian forwards. The defence on the maul was great. Clean catch from Argentina, but not being able to convert into anything. And still Michael Lynhagh controls the game.
Wilson at the back. Loose ball there for Gregan and Campese, who has the ability to tidy up in that last line. Not only a devastating attacker, but also a very effective sweeper.
It's a real struggle when you do concede, as Argentina's doing, a ball from the line out, even their own ball. It's usually a prolific place to get good attacking ball from, and they have had very little.
Sporlater couldn't hold on. And again, some lifting against the Pumas. Here's Wilson. Will he offer Hangawe? He was in front of the man. That was a forward pass.
Good luck. Yep, just marginally.
So Willie O said he must take his opportunity after getting a reprieve when Troy Coker cried off, trying to get very involved in this opening 30 minutes. Salvat on the blind side as Arbizu goes open. And again, rolling that ball end over end into touch. He can make that piece of leather talk at times. Damian Smith out there on the left wing, wearing 14 because Campo always wears the number 11.
Of course, and also wearing a black armband because, unfortunately, Bob Dwyer, the coach's father, passed away during last week.
Tim Gavin sweeps. Gavin aiming for his first World Cup after being injured before 1991 in a club game. This is Camadon. So Lynhagh taking play over the halfway line with a towering kick that time. A 37-metre gain. There's Mendez, who played against England for Mendoza at the age of 17 while still at school, and made his test debut at 18 against Ireland at Lansdowne Road. Back to Arbizu. Salvats. Garcia chases, so does Tehran, but that's a pretty aimless kick. Here's Campese. What's he going to do? He's beaten free. Smith. Daniel Herbert and Wilson. Lynhagh. Yes! Spectacular five-pointer by the Australians. It was started by the great man Campese.
You don't often see the delight of that magnitude on Michael Lynhagh's face as everyone in the team comes to congratulate him.
So there it is, Australia now out to 24 points as Lynhagh will attempt the conversion from touch. So Michael Lynhagh now is right on the touchline. Australia gets its second try. So Lynhagh, with 4 penalty goals, a conversion and a try now, has 19 points. 68th international. Well, a very exciting try there by the Australians, and Lynhagh's first miss. So he is human after all. But it was David Campese who ignited that near length of the field rave.
And the try is made when Campese runs into a gap just there. He links outside, and then the support is queuing up. Firstly Herbert, then Wilson, and back out to Lynhagh, who looks inside for support as every good player should, and then goes as he feels that no one closes on him.
John Eales taking the ball from the restart. And here's Campese. Well, you could tell that the Argentine defence was in several minds, and that's Not kept in play there by Messon. Referee, or touch judge Riley on this side, says he found it 15 metres out, so Campese has gained 60 metres there for the Wallabies.
No problem.
And Argentina, with the put in the ball into that particular line out, the man standing in touch as he touched the ball.
Sporleder jumping at number 4. The Argentinians have been hit hard for assisting in the lineouts, so lifting the jumper up. There's Sporleder at the front. Took that one around his groin. And here's Pichot to Arbizu. Good pressure from David Wilson.
They have a very interesting jumping style. They jump with their outside foot forward, which turns their whole body in towards the line out. And it's a style which only they use in World Rugby.
Hold on, get.
Australia with a long way to go before they can hit that 13 tries against the South Koreans here at Ballymore in 1987 before the World Cup. This is Martin, or Viel, the big number 7, but not thrown in straight. So again, Australia has the advantage and they elect for a scrum feed. They could opt for another line out in that situation. But Phil Kearns, the forward leader. 15 metres in, 25 out. Here's Willie O. Oh, head-on tackle there by Martin. Very courageous. Herbert. Little. Liner there at the breakdown. Gregan now to Campese. Terran is up. The Australian forwards set it up very comfortably. Liner again. Little. Smith outside. Pichot in front. Damian Smith tripped over and didn't quite get it down. He was eager, and so was the last line of defence.
Good play by the Australian backs, trying to move the ball wide as they fall. Liner draws his man, and so does Little, goes in behind him. Smith is hightailing it for the line. Stumbles, gets up, crawls, reaches out, but takes the post out before he gets the ball down. Good call by the touch judge on that far side.
And he must have actually put his foot into touch just before he put it on the corner post, hence the line out. Janis. Knock on by Australia at the front there, so a scrum for Argentina.
And Australia doing what I feel they should on Argentina's throw, and that is putting the 2 jumpers at the front. Rod McCall going to 1 that time to try and cut down the throw at Janis.
Well, you notice the hooker didn't even really have to strike for the ball there. It was just the pressure of the front row and then the remainder of the forward pack driving over the ball. But Pichot, he says his hero is his brother, his elder brother, Henry, who also plays scrum half. And, of course, his number 1 idol is Nick Farr-Jones. We're 19 metres out from the Pumas goal line. Australia ahead by 24-0. John Eales at the back. Here's Gregan. Little. Herbert. Campese's outside. And Pini. Yes! Matt Pini, with a telescopic arm, has scored Australia's 3rd try.
Well, I said in the opening that the difference between this back line and ones of old is that this one is faster, but more particularly stronger. And you'll see that strength here as Little from a standing start, as he's done a couple of times. Drags out a 1, drags another player along, and a pass perfectly delivered by Anthony Herbert gives Pini the opportunity to wrap Campese.
It started from John Eales. George Gregan had the composure here to size it up, and Little through Arbizu, really accelerating onto the ball. Daniel Herbert showed composure, and Campese, with his uncanny skills, found a Matt Pini with a head full of steam, and Pini gets his 2nd test try.
And this man Liner passed 13 times to Argentina's 1, and that's why those backs are getting outside ball, because the option's there and it's being taken. It's lovely to see.
Australia 29-0. We've had 36 minutes of play. Distance, it's through. It hit the upright and went over. 31-0. So Arvizu coming up for the restarts. John Eales underneath. He's been a tower of strength. Eales taking that ball from the kickoff. 15 metres from the halfway line. And David Campese working the touchline, just going for territory. Driving the Argentinians deep inside their quarter. But Messon shows that he too can punt the ball. And that's a monster kick. 27 metres out from the Wallaby goal line.
You can see the plan in the Australians' mind. As quickly as possible, get into the Argentine half. And then try and pressure that receiver so that he goes to the touchline and gives Australia the opportunity to use their line out. It's been clear and it's been dominant Australia's way.
Australia losing ahead there from the front of that line out. Argentina has it now. Referee plays the advantage. Martin, the number 6, goes in to assist. They're trying to keep it on their feet here. That's Martin, who was voted Argentina's outstanding player in 1994. Right in the middle of that maul. The tall number 6, Santa Marina, with his head bobbing up, but they've marched the Australians here 12 metres. Australia in this situation can't collapse it, and here we're seeing the awesome upper body strength of the Argentine tight 5. They've taken it 20 metres.
It's great work. Now the ball goes to ground, but they've lost control. And that spoils it, unfortunately, but it was good work. It was a higher than normal maul, and that's why Australia couldn't come to grips with it. It was walk forward, and as Gordon said, that upper body strength clearly evident. And this is a critical scrum for Australia. Must stand their ground with a nice platform.
Well, again, against the Argentine front row for getting too low. And he's penalising Noriega. Australia to Smith. Over the 22. Pichot across, so Maison. Damian Smith. Pichot arrives 5 metres out.
Fantastic run by Smith.
Lost forward in the tackle was the referee's call by Smith. The crowd feeling it was a quick line out. It was the same ball, it was okay. But the referee, right on the spot, says it was lost forward. And thankfully Argentina doesn't score that or concede that 4th try.
And look at that face from this man as he goes for the tackle and slides down into the boots of Damian Smith. He nearly got there, Smith. He backed himself. He took him on from some 70 metres out. And his strength nearly brought him a try.
And I must apologise to Damian Smith. I think the knock on there may have been against Jason Little, who was the first man to the breakdown. But the referee clearly ruling a knock forward. So it's 31-0, time up on the clock. We've had the hooter here. Better scrum from the Australians. Argentina very high. Pichot hasn't got his touch. This is Pini and Campese. Back to Smith. What a great charge it was from Damian Smith. Used his 102 kilograms. Lynhagh and Herbert. Little couldn't hold on. And against Argentina in midfield for being offside.
Well, if we can see that in replay, you'll be able to see that defensive line of Argentina. And unfortunately, as we say, there's the drive, and we've got the rear view, but well up in front of that advantage line, putting pressure on the Australians. The hooter's gone, but there's an opportunity here for Australia. They're not taking the kick at goal. They're going to try and create something out of nothing.
So George Gregan with a tap kick. The forwards set it up through Kearns. Coming back through McCall and Wilson. Lynhagh. Willie O. Off a Galway, nicely grasped there by Santa Marina, the number 8. Gregan again. Santa Marina was offside. Referee saying that there was a ruck formed there. He was perched on Australia's side. Here they go again. Pini lost it back. Getting a little untidy there for the Australians. They rushed that one. And thankfully for Argentina, the first 40 minutes finishes with Australia handsome leaders by 31-0. Eales, Lynhagh and Pini tries. Lynhagh 4 penalties and a conversion. 31-0 at the break. Well, last weekend we saw the All Blacks run amok against Canada. The Wallabies certainly have done just that in the first half here at Ballymore, as we especially welcome our viewers who are watching this match live in South Africa, live in New Zealand through One World of Sport, and live also to Argentina. And the first line out of the second half, 30 metres out from the Wallaby goal line. But 3 first half tries to Eales, Lynhagh and Pini. Lynhagh has 6 goals, 4 penalties and 2 conversions.
Well, that good jump in the middle of the line out has signalled a change in tactic for the Pumas, and it's enabled them to get the ball infield and to use this, which has been a good driving maul for them.
Yes, well, they've really wedged the ball in there and protecting it now. That's Martin and Santa Marina. Santa Marina is the forward leader there, the number 8. Great communication. Abizu, Salvat, Garcia, strong runner, got through the tackle of Little, 15 metres out. This is just the start the Pumas wanted. Can they get it back here? Pichot, Mendez, Campese and Gregan there. It's a try. Argentina through Pichot, the scrum half. And a blinding start to this second term by the Pumas.
Well, I'm sure it'll be his brother Henry that is lauding his praises at this particular moment. Pichot taking over. It's his first test try, and they've done it well. They won the line out in the middle. They drove it forward. They mauled the ball well. They went to ground and won it again, and that is great forward play and good control. Mendez took it up manfully. The ball popped loose, and Pichot there. Try.
Driven over by Sporleda. So Argentina out to make this match a tale of 2 halves. Abizu with a little stab, a successful one too. So Maison not doing the goal kicking. Lisandro Abizu from Belgrano Athletic. Belgrano, of course, a national hero in Argentina. He was the man who designed the Argentine flag. And Michael Lynhagh just having some stern words to the Australian team after that try. Tim Gavin, but the ball not travelling the 10 metres.
Isn't it quite obvious after that break, Australia? Quick try by Argentina, then Australia forced into other error. Now to their strength. Scrum centre field.
Well, we've seen some devastating use of that rolling maul by the Pumas. England have done it so well in the 5 Nations. And Pini allows it to go over the goal line and play to restart from the 22. 31 plays 7. Back now for Michael Lynhagh. Well, you could argue he scored the winning try of the 1991 World Cup, and he did it in the quarter-final at Lansdowne Road against the Irish. The Argentinians again keeping the ball off the ground. They have exposed the Australians in this area. Abizu. It's Camadon, right winger, wrapped up there by Lynhagh and Little. The midfield was waiting that time, and they drive him back.
Well, that's more turned over scrum ball.
Better work by the Australians. They've been smartened up in defence. They defended the rolling maul earlier a little better, and then backs waited, picked their man and nailed him. The forwards joining drove forward, and it a slightly better sign, although Argentina are really putting it to them.
This is Campese, who's playing out on the right wing, normally a scrum half. Campese played scrum half against the Wallabies at Llanelli in 1991. It's 31-7. Yes, so Campese, a very versatile performer. He's played mainly at halfback, 2 internationals at fly half, and now on the wing. So let's hope that Campese, the 24-year-old bar owner from the alumni club.
They drove up middle field, and as we watch, Campese is in the middle there, and it was when that drive came on from the Australians from the back, Tim Gavin. I think that injury has occurred. He's buried right in the middle of all of that underneath, and I think skewed very awkwardly.
Well, he looks as though he needs a stiff drink at the moment. There's Sporleda. And Paganini on the left there, the co-coach of the Argentinian side. In the foreground there is Alejandro Petra from Tucumán. And it looks as though we could have a replacement here. The Argentine players looking very concerned towards the bench. And Del Castillo, who played fullback against the Wallabies in the '91 World Cup, will be coming on here.
It's unfortunate for them at this stage. Campese is a very experienced player. They wouldn't like to lose him. He doesn't look terribly well, and there the signs of what is the twisting in the as that drive came in over the top, and it looks like a knee or ankle injury. I'd say ankle. It's forced him off the field.
So it's Jurado on the field as Smith goes straight through the tackle, supported by Herbert, and Gavin now the link man to Little. Little goes straight ahead. That was the best option, supported by McCall. Corral the tackler, Gregan and Lynhagh. Overlap here. Knocked down by the Argentinians. Well cleared away from the ruck again. Cut out to Herbert. Australia again playing a very quick game here. Quick clearance from the ruck and maul. Matt Pini nicely to Eales and Wilson. Gregan. Martin across. George Gregan. He can get up. He's just short. If you're not held in the tackle or you're on the ground, you can get up and go for it. 1 metre out.
We've seen some sensational cover defending tackles from Argentina when it seemed that Australia would score. But better than that, the interchange and movement of the ball by the Australians, both back and forward, is nothing short of sensational. And here George Gregan gets the ball, but he can see that cover defence coming. It goes high and misses him, but it's the backup that beat you, and beat him it certainly did.
Little to Lynhagh and Herbert, coughed up by the Australians, and it's a time for concentration.
Turnovers. Australia's turned the ball over more than Argentina. Maybe that's because they've had overwhelmingly more possession. And this trying to work a little magic. Double around, picking up the outside centre in Daniel Herbert, and he just pulls it forward looking for support inside.
Come on, boys.
So Janez was going to leave the field. Now he's running back. So we could have another replacement here. Berezoki would come on. And Abizu gets a nice touch on the 22. Tehran was ready for the quick throw in from Campese.
And already in this game, Australia has had twice the possession.
TIM 21.
So three-man line out. Gavin at the back to Gregan. This is Willie Opperhen Galway. Picked up by Corral. Wilson toes ahead. Who wants it? Abizu. Hammered there by Eales. 5-metre scrum. The Australians not able to control the ball, but Wilson ever alert. Sporlady was there, so was Abizu, and so too John Eales.
Stand up, boys. Stand up. Stand up. You come out. No, you come out. Come here. And you come out too. I want to see.
Now the referee's going to speak to the two props here, the loose head and the tight head.
You don't often see this in a game, both props being called out for a lesson on how to pack by the referee Colin Hawke from Timaru. And what he's saying is that they both need to be, their backs need to be level, not with their heads below their shoulders.
Patricio Noriega, the tight head prop against Dan Crowley. Noriega, 115 kilograms. Australia enjoying a slight weight advantage. Noriega made his test debut against Spain in 1992 and was very impressive in both internationals against South Africa. But Jarnes, who has been troubled by a knee injury, looks as though he's going to leave the field. Remember, this is his first game in 2 months. He hasn't played on tour before this test, and he is the most important man in the Argentine pack. But of course this now gives a chance for Pablo Buabse from Los Tacos. So Buabse on for Jarnes. Gavin and Opperhen Galway running rampant. Too easy. So the Australians finally putting a bit of sanity back into this second half after an indifferent start.
Great effort to get Willie Alway. He's been looking for a run, and that time went wider than normal. And it was because he went wide. If we can just freeze it there, see how wide he goes on that screen. He really takes that cover right across with him before he crashes in behind them. He's a very hard man to stop, particularly running obliquely.
Devastating charge by Willie Opperhen Galway. Also one of the most punishing tacklers in international rugby. The Australians get their 4th try. We've had nearly 10 minutes of play in the second half. And Michael Lynhagh now point-blank range. His 3rd conversion. Australia hits 38. And a sad sight there for Camardan. And he could well be out of the World Cup by the look of that. So Campese now. Sized the situation up beautifully. Has driven the ball into touch inside the 22. Quick line out here. Maison. And a good reply by fullback Santiago Maison, who scored all 29 points against Canada back in March in the victory over the Canucks. Phil Kearns on the halfway line. Gavin, Lynhagh, Willie Opperhen Galway, and a great low tackle. Martin was the man who went low, and this is Pini. Pini's been very enthusiastic from fullback.
That's an interesting comment. He has linked just when the play looks like dying. Pini's just joining in it, keeping it alive.
Well, another great tackle by Martin, the 2nd in a row on Willie Opperhen Galway. That's one way of stopping the Tongan torpedo. Gavin lost the ball. The Argentinians are getting some good hits on, and Willie O is dazed after that last one from Martin.
And just one of the statistics that Bob Dwyer would be very happy with. 3 times the amount of time have Australia spent in their opposition's half, and they've had double the amount of possession overall. And their 2 statistics which would impress their coach well.
Arbizu getting a nice piece of that one, taking play to within metres of the halfway line. But the Argentinians very competitive in their second half after conceding 31 in the first.
I think they've been able to vary their line-out throws and get a little bit more. They've got their maul into the game more, and they're very good here. They're being able to muscle it, but then they've got to be able to use it. And that's the thing they haven't been able to do often, is use it from that maul ball. Australia being pushed out at the front of the line-out.
Gregan plays on quickly now to Crowley. He makes 5. Now Kearns. He gets another 7. Corral the tackler. Gregan to Lynhagh. Little. Caught by Martin. What a power of tackling Martin is getting through for Argentina. Tremendous game from him. This is Lynhagh. It was a lovely pass from Gregan, and this is Herbert and Campese. Couldn't hold on.
It's as if he took his eye off the ball right at the last minute. It was held onto by Herbert, delivered perfectly, and it just hit off. It hit the end of the fingers. Good break by Lynhagh, who runs obliquely and then picks up the cover. Herbert looks inside, and there goes straight past the front.
Cleared back to Arbizu. A nice step around Gregan. And the little fly half takes play back to the 22. But he marked Michael Lynhagh in that 91 World Cup game, the last time the two sides met.
And Lynhagh's passed the ball now 24 times in the game, showing his initiative. Get that ball wide. And Australia still suffering. 15 turnovers, Argentina 9. Got to fix that.
Eales at the back. Gavin sweeping, not able to hold on. So again, concentration is the key word for the Australians. They've certainly enjoyed themselves in the first half, but Argentina has come back in this second. A lot more purpose and spirit in their play. And obviously too many people talking in the Argentine side. The referee saying, I will referee. I don't need you to tell me. Pichot speaking here with Santa Marina. And that's a nice kick. That was reminiscent of Porta. And it's gained 40 metres.
Getting good applause from his other team members. This is the position that they want to be in, and there on the left of manager Peter Falk is Troy Coker, disappointingly out of this team with a hamstring injury. Michael Foley on the right, just waiting for his time.
Coker, another in devastating form for Queensland in the Super 10. The Australians lacking a little bit of cohesion, but that's to be expected. Lynhagh cleverly now for Herbert, but Tehran was in the way. Australia diving in on the tackle player there. The Argentinians call for the penalty. A try coming up here. This is Little. Smith. Damian Smith, a clean pair of heels, gets his 5th test try.
Clever play, Australia. All started from the little chip centre field by Michael Lynhagh. And Bob Dwyer had said the other day in the launch of Jason Little's book, Noddy, no chips. But here was an option. They were up flat, and he gets it ball back miraculously from here. And then this interchange of passing started with Eales and then came quickly back. And the skill of Jason Little straightens the cover defence, picks up Damian Smith, who will not be stopped this time, striding to the line, eventually over.
Well, there were some very impressive parts to that try. Gregan's vision, Eales' support and athleticism, and then the linking between Little and also Smith. 43-7. Lynhagh should make it 45, but he doesn't. 43-7. So the Argentinians bringing play back to the halfway line.
Disappointing miss there for Michael Lynhagh, Gordon.
Run the ball from everywhere here this afternoon. So Arbizu. Here's Campese slipping over. Salvat came in for the tackle. Australia ruck it back through Gregan. And there's no fullback here, Maison, who's wearing 26 and patched up too. But Gregan with a lovely kick over the halfway line.
It's a nice variation, that one. Often the halfback's left to take that role, but it was perfectly timed kick without any fullback in position.
The Pumas started to get a little bit of cohesion at the start of the second half. I think what's let them down, just as they were sort of getting on track, is there's been 4 or 5 very vital and crucial replacements. It's been extremely busy down here on the touchline. It's been like a merry-go-round. Also on that last Michael Lynhagh kick, very disappointing. He's currently on 23 points so far this test. The record, he holds it, is 24 points.
This is Lynhagh kicking for Campese. Eales is there. Back again for Arbizu, and he's provided a lot of relief from fly half with his kicking, taking play 35 metres out from the Argentine goal line. Lynhagh and Little. Herbert was at his shoulder. Australia ruck over again. Gregan wants it. Lynhagh's gone right. So too Pini. He found the gap. Referee says it came off the knee. Argentina has it here. Pichot. Maison again content to put the ball onto the right boot, and he's done it well. But it's grim defence from the Argentinians as the Australians continue to attack.
I think there's some very tired forwards out there. Game's been played at a cracker pace, and then when it comes to set piece, both line out and scrum, a lot of concentration, a lot of physical strain. So both sides really feeling the pinch.
Down the middle. Yep.
Rod McCall and Eales. Gregan decided not to offload. He did the right thing. The Australians back to regroup.
Hands out!
Hands out, says Colin Hawke, against the Pumas. Smith. And a little knock-on spotted.
Scrum, Puma. Hold it up, boys.
Nearly halfway through the second term.
Put it in.
Pichot has been playing since he was 4 years old. He has it. And here's little Tehran. Pini in the last line. BL there now. Australia can't get this one down. It goes down to the maul now, to the ruck. Here it comes for Argentina. Santa Marina. Caught by Mackenzie. Pichot. Arbizu. Ran into Lynhagh and Gregan. Eales is there. Noriega. Now a chance for Campese. Supported by Little and Gregan. Well, they're playing touch rugby, the Australians. Jason Little. Campese. Try number 61 in test matches for Campo. Number 6 for Australia.
And as any good side, when they're most under pressure is when they're most dangerous. George Gregan had the opportunity for the hurried clearing kick. But such is the confidence of this side. He held on to it with a beautiful interchange of passing with David Wilson, who's having a whale of a game in support. Little wide, you'd think he'd back himself to beat the cover. Sensibly, he picked up the support inside of Campese. And from that point of time, it was shut the gate. It's all over. Campese 61.
David Campese got the world record number of tries way back in the 1987 World Cup against France, and he's held it ever since. And if David Campese can play a possible 10 test matches this year, he will move to 96, just 4 short of that magical century. And second only then behind Philippe Sella. So this to bring up the half century for Australia. No joy for Lynhagh, 48 plays 7. Arbizu then with the restarts. John Eales taking the ball on his chest. Now the Australians working it right. That's Santa Marina, number 8. Martin, who's pulled off some heavy hits, number 6 there. Buabse is on the field, replacing Janes. Gregan ran into Pichot. He was waiting for him. George Gregan captained the Australian Sevens team in Hong Kong. They made it to the semi-finals.
Yes, Australia done it well, dominated possession and also territory, and they're 2 very important parts of the game. Simple but very, very important. It's what they set out to do.
We've seen a brilliant performance here from David Wilson this afternoon with his link play, some classic open side work at the tackle and the breakdown. There's Glenn Eller, the Australian assistant coach, twin of Mark, former Wallaby captain, and now Michael Lynhagh. So it's been skinny scraps for the Argentinians in the penalty department. Joe Roth there, the sensational teenager from ACT, just 19 years of age, from Maris College. Santa Marina and VL, number 7. This is Corral. VL tackled by Jason Little. Hand in the ruck there by the Australians, forcing it on their side. The referee doesn't spot it. Argentina have recovered. This is Martin, a real goer, tackled by Gavin. He shot, and it seems to be the only option from the Pumas. The kick.
It's a shame, isn't it? After good work by Rolando Martin, very similar to the playing style of Tommy Peterson, the blonde-headed flanker from Argentina of the late 70s and early 80s. He's playing very well, and you'd like to see ball that you won be used a little better than that.
So Gregan cleans up the scraps again. Lynhagh's put that high. Mess on underneath. Here comes Herbert and Willie off ahead. Galway. VL back there. Pichot wants it and gets it. Now they have an overlap here. Terran. Mendez. This is Garcia. Garcia running well over the halfway line. Corral arrives. So does Pichot. Arbizu. Well, Messon following on. But the Argentinians eventually resort to the kick. And they don't have the support skills of the Australians.
They don't seem to, and the forwards are forced to trundle. And I say trundle across to the other side of the field. It's been played at a frenetic pace, and 69% of the game in Argentina's half, and that puts its own pressure on, and 64% of the possession, and they're very clear statistics shown visually there, and that's what the game's all been about.
So that was a two-handed catch there. You heard the referee say 2 hands. That means in a two-handed catch, the back line has to stay back 10 metres until the line out is finished. They can't creep up until it goes over the line of touch. Phil Kearns. Well, that's Willie Opperhen Galway. Referee again plays good advantage. Lynhagh.
Flying on top of it.
Little's cut out. This is Herbert. Now Little. Pini to Campese. Great support play from Wilson. Little again. Lynhagh. Again, they're playing basketball. And they turn it over.
Get off him. Time.
Garcia. He's managed to make some inroads when in possession. Pichot. Kalmat. And this is Tehran. Nice pass to Arbizu. Salvat. Ball went forward. Herbert. Straight through. Tehran, the tackler. And a good one. Here's that man, Martin. Gavin wraps him up with Crowley. Coming back here for Argentina.
Yeah, maybe. Sorry. Come back. Yeah. Untidy. Yeah.
Australian physio Greg Craig just going onto the playing field, and Ewan McKenzie coming off. Ewan's been punished a little bit in the lower back area, feeling a bit sore, and the big accountant from New South Wales, Mark Hartill, will make his way onto the field.
So Mark Hartill from the Gordon Club comes out for his 16th international, and let's hope this is just precautionary for the link. Ewan McKenzie, who today joined Tony Daly as Australia's most capped prop, his 39th international.
Back off the mark. Give it up.
Pichot.
Hind feet.
There's been some physical exchanges in this second half. Australia ahead 48-7, 14 minutes to go. A bit of hesitation there from Pichot, has put his side under pressure. And players diving in and also fringing around offside.
Back off. No, get away.
Lynhagh. Little. Smith. Wilson again. He's been everywhere. Hartill gets his first touch. Here comes Kearns. Back for Gregan. Smith. Damian Smith playing like an extra back row when he has to. Here it comes again. Lynhagh kicking for Little. Pichot there first. The scrum half did sensationally. Wonderful skills. The test debutant, Augustin Pichot.
Just refreshing to see Australia just probing every opportunity. Michael Lynhagh covered on the short side, just dropped it onto the boot. It may well have bounced up into Little's hands. Other than this man, Pichot, is playing superbly in a well-beaten team.
A few Wallaby players.
Jason Little in the hands of the trainer here. It's 48-7. Yes, that's a concern, Chris. Jason Little. He was hurt as he came to ground. Greg Craig looking anxiously over his shoulder. So we have about 12 minutes before the final whistle from referee Colin Hawke.
Greg Craig, as you said, Gordon, out there with Jason Little. It doesn't appear to be his knee, so hopefully it's a little bit of repairing. He's looking at an ankle, I would say. Of course, it was his left knee that he injured at the same time Tim Horan did in Super 10 final of last year in Durban. Just a bit ginger, but I think okay.
Yes, well, he's favouring that right leg. But Jason Little has really bulked up, and together with Herbert and Damian Smith, they've been working with fitness trainer Ian King as Herbert charges into Arbizu. Good setup. Kearns. Accidental offside rule there. That's an interesting one from the referee. He ran into his own players when in possession, so he put them in offside positions. They were obstructing. You see that quite often in a game, but rarely it's pulled up. He shot at scrum half, and Arbizu. Lynhagh managed to spoil, and so Argentina gets the line-out throw because Lynhagh made contact.
Argentina relying on Mohicanos at the front of their line-out, but still Australia leading 19-7. Clearly they've taken that control of the line-outs. It's been so important in this win.
Outside arm there. You heard the call from the referee.
Ball, thank you.
Free kick. The Argentinians have thrown it away, and now they're penalised another 10 metres. It remains a free kick, though. Kearns. Harthill. Supported by McCall. Kearns again to Gregan. Lynhagh. Little. Campese's in. Where's he going? He's still going. That's the main thing. 15 metres out. Australia 48. Argentina 7. Lynhagh again. Willie Opahan Galway. What a lovely step from Lynhagh. Caught in the last line. Now they have a chance. Little. Wilson in support. Intercepted. That was the prop. Corral. Salvat, the skipper. They're keeping it alive here. That's Jurado.
There it is.
Pichot. Messon follows. Here's Campese. Bounce important. It beat everyone. Harthill there. Pushed away by Noriega. There he is. He has to get onside. Campese in at fly half. This is Herbert and Little. Lynhagh supports. Flicks it back. But this time, no one there for Australia, and Pichot scrambles it into touch.
You could forgive Michael Lynhagh for thinking there'd be somebody there in support. Quite predictably, you'd think it'd be David Wilson, and missing that time. But Lynhagh's involved himself enormously in this game. And the keys to victory at the start were that Lynhagh must take control, and clearly he's done that today. George
Gregan makes inroads. Viel and Martin, the tackler, just short of the 22. Well, the Australians have almost run themselves to a standstill, but not Jason Little. Kearns doesn't hold on. Referee was playing advantage. That was the call for offside play.
And he's marking it out with his hand, that imaginary offside line.
Yes.
It isn't imaginary anymore. It's very real for Argentina.
Jason Little's down.
Sorry.
The referee calling it up because he impaired John Eales' run. So the scrum will go down with Australia to put in.
The injury update on Jason Little. I just spoke to Greg Craig. He's tweaked an ankle ligament on his left ankle. He said it wasn't too bad, but they're going to monitor his progress. And he said a lot of the big men are starting to feel the pinch.
Yes, well, Greg Craig just there with Jason Little at the moment.
And clearly the man in picture before, Mark Hartill, bearing out the selectors' choice of he as the front row reserve to be able to run on and play tight head. That a concern. Tony Daly is unlucky to miss out on this side, and hopefully will be included in the World Cup numbers when they go up.
So Lynhagh on this left side. Herbert almost through. Lynhagh supports. Wilson there this time to Gregan. Willie O. Knock back. It's getting a bit untidy. The referee says the Australians made the error under a bit of pressure 8 minutes before full time.
And you could expect that untidiness, and as we heard from Andy Raymond, Greg Craig saying some of the big men feeling it. Surely they would, because this has been physical. It's been a good test for them. It's been a good test on the combination. I'm sure Bob Dwyer would be really pleased to see the backs melding as well as they have, to see the forwards doing the hard work. There has been some unfortunate turnovers, but they'll be working on that during the week, and very hard.
Well, the Australians have been trying things, and you certainly don't lose any cast. And they've certainly given it everything this afternoon, but the Argentinians have two in the second half. Herbert well wrapped up, caught behind the advantage line, then didn't release. The Argentinians have lost this second half 17-7 after trailing 31-0 at half-time. Pichot. Abizou. Terran. He's a great little flyer. This is Martin, Argentina's best player this afternoon. Now Corral, the loose head prop, into Little. Excellent build-up Argentina, and they lost ahead.
Well, barring that small knock-on, they had Australia at 6s and 7s by running the ball at them. They'd found them skinny out wide. They'd found them skinny in the middle, and clearly tiredness really taking a hold here. The pace has been a cracker. Just this little error. Picks it up, and whether he dropped it or whether it got pulled from his hands at the last minute, who knows? But there the error.
Well, a well-earned breather for both sides. The Australians have squandered opportunities in the second half, but it certainly has been a good workout. And the Pumas giving every indication that they have plenty of improvement left in them too. Looking forward to the second test. And nearly 21,000 fans at Ballymore this afternoon for this exhibition of 15-man rugby from the Australians.
And that's good for Ballymore, with the game going live on the 7 network and here in Brisbane. Some rain forecast and with a live match, but great feeling here amongst the crowd. There only time to see their World Cup champions before they go in to defend their trophy.
Too low.
So the Schweppes Wallabies leading by 48-7 in the first of this 2-test Ford Australia series.
All right. Yeah, you keep it up.
And Noriega again being told to keep the head up above the level of the hips. He loves to get low.
Stay down, flank.
Crowley standing his ground. Lynhagh now kicking for Campese. And he lost a head. Almost.
Well, Campe keen to have a go, and Noddy giving him the chance. Normally you'd see Lynhagh go downfield and into touch from inside his 22. But this chip nearly comes off. The bounce sits up beautifully. He clips it in one. I think he may have got picked up by the cover.
Big scrum from the Pumas. Abizu, Salvat, Abizu on the loop. This is Burado. Abizu in support. They didn't put him on the ground. Martin couldn't hold on.
Let's go. Not recover.
He lost a head. Eales sets it back here. Lynhagh. Campese has another chase. Back there is Messon. So Australia hoping for one last try to bring up their 50 points. It's a record score against Argentina, also a record margin. Federico Mendes, who was sent off at Twickenham by our referee Colin Hawke for punching the London police inspector Paul Ackford, who admitted it was a good punch too.
You have to, if it knocks you that far down. 3-1 the line outs Australia. 21 plays 7.
Lynhagh now working inside the Gregan, who holds on and thumped to the ground there. 5 minutes before full time. And the last 10 minutes has seemed a very long one for the Argentinians. But I think they can gain some heart from this second half revival. They've defended manfully. They've forced a lot of Australian errors with their robust defence. They just don't seem to have the attacking options from their back line now. Lisandro Abizu, who captained Argentina in 92-93. Lynhagh taken by Martin to Little now. Threads his way through. Just short of the 22. Australia scored 6 tries. Wilson, Herbert. Wilson again cleans up. Really off behind Galway. Back to Harthill, the freshest man on the field. Set it up well. Kearns. Eales. Regan now. Numbers here. Smith. Gavin's there. So too Willie O. And just some over-anxiousness there from the Australians. Frustration.
Smith leaning back inside for the support. Maybe there was a bit of room on the outside. And there, handoff to Jason Little. Going to ground, and some complaint from Little. Maybe thinking there was an Argentine hand in there, but referee's too smart for you, Jace.
Damian Smith now feeling his ankle. Smith scoring one of Australia's 6 tries. And 4 of them have gone to the backs. The Argentine front row has had its moments this afternoon, but the Aussies have absorbed that pressure and been very mobile around the paddock as well.
Damian Smith bringing the ball forward, and it's a calf muscle that gets injured, and I think there as he hits the ground, but there's some that come in over the top as well after it.
Shot back to Arbizu. Doesn't get his touch. Pini underneath, supported by Campese. Pini goes himself. Willie Opperhen Galway in support. He's beaten 3, 4. Make it 6. Gavin's there. Gregan, Lynhagh. Back into Campese. Wilson, Smith, Herberts, Smith again. Damian Smith, number 2, but it's Lynhagh, his second. And that's an Australian record point score total for Michael Lynhagh.
Man of the match effort from Michael Lynhagh, undoubtedly. Take control and do what he did. 2 tries, plenty of conversions, penalties galore. Lynagh's back, and Australia are looking good. Willie O had brought the ball forward. It had been a great run by him to draw in all the defence. He gets great support as this ball's muscled away. Drive, they've joined in behind, tired, but there was room for one last effort. Picked up Smith, picked up Campese, and then worked wide by David Wilson, who's been in absolutely everything. Smith brings it forward and looked likely that he might be able to take him on. And there as he fell, Noddy Lynhagh.
Now another milestone awaits Michael Lynhagh here, Chris. If successful, he will bring up 30 points. So this kick by Michael Lynhagh to equal the world record for a test match. This will take him to 30, equaling Didier Camberabero and Rob Andrew, and he's missed it.
I suppose there's always another test match, isn't there?
So there it is at full time. Argentina outclassed here by a rampant Wallaby side who ran in 7 tries after leading 31-0 at half-time. The crowd streaming onto the field, but it was played at fantastic pace. The Pumas defending very courageously in the second half.